violations. The hearings are quasi-judicial, and I am the special magistrate appointed to hear these cases. Formal rules of evidence do not apply, but fundamental due process shall be observed. Everyone who has a case today will have an opportunity to present testimony. You may present evidence or witnesses to testify on your behalf, but there is no public comment portion. You must be a respondent or be called as a witness in order to speak on a specific case. Everything today is being recorded. All testimony will be under oath. When you are sworn in, please provide your current mailing address so any orders get to the correct address. The city will present its case first, and information will be displayed on the screens. Documents may be provided by the city as evidence. The city's PowerPoint presentation will be entered into evidence unless objections are made. After the evidence, I will make a ruling. That ruling will be reduced to writing and mailed to you. And at this point, we will swear in the witnesses, all officers, and anyone who intends to speak on their case. If you would please raise your right hand if you're intending to speak on your case. I'll swear you in right now. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and take care of the people who are present. Actually, you wanted to take care of the one that came into compliance, so we can get
Yes,
that
ma'am.
one out of the way.
Yes, ma'am. Case number is 23-07, Jerry R. Robbins. And if you recall, they had installed a large carport. You gave them until this month to correct. They actually had corrected it early.
Perfect.
And you had reserved the cost in the amount of $110.92, and we're fine with that. We would like to have an order for the record, please.
An order of compliance.
Yes, ma'am.
No costs, no fine imposed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, very good. Okay, and then the next.
And with that, we're going out of order. We'll now go to 2314, New Beginnings of Bavard LLC, 2635/Pine, and we do have a representative present today.
That's all right.
Good afternoon. I've got one item, one exhibit to submit. It is the affidavit for the notice of Massey hearing.
Thank you. I will admit into evidence the notice of today's hearing and the affidavit.
All right, so this is case number 2314, the Massey hearing for respondent New Beginnings of Bavard LLC. The violation address is 2635/Pine Court in Titusville, Florida. The mailing address is 2700 LaGrange Road in Titusville, as well as 3870 Rainy Road in Titusville. The violation was 6-56, and that was for construction permits required. So I'm going to get the roof permit was issued on March 20th, 2023. It passed final inspection on March 28th. Alteration permit, it was issued on April 5th. The first inspection failed on April 6th. On Friday, when I was updating my case, no final inspection had been scheduled, but I believe the registered agent is here to speak to you about the alteration permit.
So currently on the alteration permit, a permit was pulled, but it has not been
It hasn't passed final inspection.
passed. Is there more information that the city's waiting for in order?
That it wasn't indicated in the notes.
Okay.
And I did pull up the summary from your order. I didn't know if you needed it.
My order had required compliance by April 7th by obtaining all necessary permits and inspections by April 7th. And at this point, we have the roof is taken care of.
Correct.
But the alterations permit has not been completed yet.
Correct. So the
Not
final
finalized.
inspection has not been completed yet.
And did you happen to have any pictures just to
Not,
refresh my memory what it looked like?
I didn't put any in the presentation.
Okay.
I apologize.
I remember it
It was
had
a
been
blue
demoed
house
down to the studs.
on the interior.
Right.
We had work in the kitchen, we had work
Right.
in the bathrooms,
Right.
we had new windows,
Right.
new siding.
The windows was
work.
what you noticed first on
Mhm.
the outside. Okay. Yep, I remember. Okay. Thank you, Officer Wright. Hi.
Hey,
Can you let me know your name? And,
Darlene Tyndall.
I'm sorry.
Darlene Tyndall.
And what is your address?
2700 LaGrange Road, Titusville, Florida, 32796.
And what is your relationship to this property?
I own it.
Okay. All right, what can you tell me about the status of getting this into compliance?
Well, I'm not sure exactly why it took so long to get the building permit processed. Because like she said, we turned it in March. But I just got it processed, and as soon as I processed it, I had a inspection scheduled for the next day. But they refused to do any of the other inspections until I passed the window inspection, so that's what the holdup is. And so I had to get an affidavit signed for the windows, and I just turned that in. So the rest of the inspections are scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, for tomorrow? Okay. Well, so what happens in this type of situation when it's not brought into compliance by the date set forth in the order, which was April 7th, then the fine will start to run on April 8th, and then as soon as you can get it completely finalized, the fine will stop. So that's your goal, is to make sure you get all your permits approved.
I mean, considering that the permit was already pulled and stuff like that, we can't give any leniency on the date of when I get it done, give me
No.
a few more days.
No.
Because, I mean, I've really been trying to get this done since December, but, I mean, I've had issues with my contractor getting everything put together.
Right.
So,
Right. Understood.
because if I showed you my emails and stuff like that, I started trying to pull and have everything processed on December 22nd. So
Yeah.
it's been quite a while to get everything together.
And you weren't here last meeting,
No,
right?
because he told me when he turned in the permit that I didn't need to be here on Monday, so I didn't come. So, and I didn't actually know even what time it was for and stuff like that, so it was just miscommunication.
Okay. When you say he, who?
My contractor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he normally would come to this, not me,
Okay.
but he's sick and in the hospital, so that's part of the problem.
Okay. All right.
Or been in and out of the hospital, I should say. He's out now, but
Okay. And remind me, Officer Wright, when did you first see the violations?
October 2022.
October, okay. And that's when the initial notice of violation went out, October?
Correct. We did have an address change, and additional notices of violation went out in December. So December into January, I did have contact with Ms. Tyndall.
Okay. And would you say that Ms. Tyndall's been very cooperative in terms of getting on the ball, in terms of getting the permits pulled?
We just had the one interaction, and I didn't have any contact from her. I had contact from the contractor after the notice of hearing was issued.
Okay, all right. So at this point, is there anything the city would like to add? No. Okay, anything else you would like to add?
no, that's it.
Okay, thanks. I will find that the violation of 6-56, permit required, did not come into compliance by the compliance date of April 7. A fine in the amount of $250 per day will begin to run effective April 8, 2023. And hopefully you can get that to stop as soon as possible. The costs of prosecution are imposed in the amount of $198.97. I find that the evidence and testimony supports the finding of noncompliance. I understand that you've been making the attempts, and as soon as you can get that completely finalized, then the fine will stop running. And that's it. Thank you. Right, if we can go to the next case where we have someone present.
Yes, ma'am. It's case number 2318, TPK Investments at 2671 Susanna Lane, and Ms. Tyndall also will be here to represent that property. And this is an initial hearing.
Right.
All right, so I have 3 exhibits to submit. The first one is going to be the affidavit for the notice of violation. Second is going to be the affidavit for the notice of hearing, the initial hearing. And then the third will be the cost recovery statement in the amount of $163.75.
Thank you. I will admit into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation with the affidavit of service and mailing. Exhibit 2 will be the notice of hearing and the affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery statement. The city's request for costs in the amount of $163.75.
All right, so this is the initial hearing for case number 2318. The respondent is TPK Investments, LLC. The violation address is 2671 Susanna Lane in Titusville, Florida. Got 2 mailing addresses. The first one, 2700 LaGrange Road in Titusville, and then 3870 Rainy Road, Titusville, Florida. We've got 2 violations. We have section 3410, site permit required, and then section 30-83 for the prohibition of clearing, adding of fill, etc. So the initial inspection was completed January 4th of 2023. Notices were sent, and the certified mail sent to the listed owner was signed for on January 11, 2023. They were given till March 6, 2023 to comply. So the initial violation we received was the addition of fill dirt on a vacant lot. My inspection found an undeveloped wooded lot had multiple loads of fill dirt placed on the property. Contact with Titusville Development Services, I found no building permit issued, nor was there a site permit or approval for the fill to be on the property. A notice of violation was posted on the site that same day. So I did speak with Darlene Tyndall on February 3rd of 2023 about new activity I was seeing on the property. On February 3rd, there was additional fill dirt on the lot, and there was a contractor on site spreading it out. Ms. Tyndall had indicated that the future plans for the site was to build a single-family dwelling. but she did not have plans on pulling that permit until she was ready to move forward. We did discuss the ordinance, and I provided contact information for the site inspector with development services for her to contact and discuss her plans and the fill and how to proceed. So the reinspection, the fill dirt remains on the property, and at this time, there's been no approvals granted nor any permits issued for the work. So this first picture was taken January 4th during the initial inspection. Again, January 4th, we have evidence that the fill was starting to be moved around the lot. So this is from the reinspection I took on March 30th when I posted the property for the Massey hearing. The fill dirt remains on the property. So the conclusions of facts for section 3410, a site permit is required. There's been no site permit or development permit issued for the property. And then the 30-83, the prohibition of clearing and storage of materials. The fill dirt remains on site without any required approvals. So we're requesting the respondent be ordered to correct the violation on or before May 5th of 2023. To comply, the respondent must obtain required permits for the placement of the fill dirt or remove the fill dirt from the property and reestablish ground cover on all affected areas. We are requesting assessment of administrative costs in the amount of $163.75. And if the respondent does not comply by May 5th, 2023, we are requesting $100 per day be imposed for each day the violations continue. And once it's been brought into compliance, to contact me.
All right, I don't think I got enough information on the clearing.
Okay. So 30-83, that is directly discussing alterations of the topography, including grading, fill dirt, and it states, and I didn't put the section in this time, I apologize, that approval must be granted prior to start of any grading, any placement of fill dirt.
So you're not saying that, are you saying that vegetation was removed?
Well, they covered up anything that was there. It was a wooded lot before. It was a vacant lot, no work. Undergrowth was there, underbrush was on the site, and then fill dirt was brought in. So and when spreading it out, they're removing all that undergrowth. They're regrading the site.
Okay. All right. All right. If anyone wishes to speak as a representative on this property, please come forward.
Darlene Tyndall,
And I know you gave it to me last time, but let me have your address, please,
2700 LaGrange Road, Titusville, Florida, 32796.
and your relationship to this property.
Owner.
Okay, what can you tell me about the
I actually did get a site land clearing permit, and they denied, or applied for one, and they denied it, and we'd actually already paid the fee, and they sent the money back. And then I talked to them, and they said we could go in and underbrush it, and that's what I did. I went in and underbrushed it, and they did take off the vegetation and stuff. And then I did put the fill dirt on it, but I didn't realize the fill dirt was gonna be that big a deal, because I wasn't actually grading it to whatever I needed to be billed, but I was just trying to put some fill dirt in to start working on getting ready. But my plan is actually to go ahead and pull a building permit like she stated. I do have a set of plans now, but I'm still just waiting. It's just taking a while.
Okay, so the city has requested a compliance date of May 5th, so less than a month. to get the proper permit for the site clearing?
Which is probably gonna take longer than that, because it takes 8 weeks to get the stuff back from Trustwood, and I don't even know if Trustwood has the stuff yet. They made some adjustments to the plans, and I'm just still waiting for them to come back, and then I still have to submit them to Trustwood, and then I still have to wait the 8 weeks.
What's Trustwood?
The trust company, and I can't submit the building plans to you guys until I have that supposedly. I don't know anything about building a house, I'm just having a friend that's a contractor walk me through the process.
Okay. Well, the site permit, so you're saying you can't get the
They
site
said I couldn't get a
permit?
site permit until I had building plans submitted, so it's like a ongoing thing.
So I'm suspecting that the city would say then you have to go ahead and remove everything until you're actually ready to get your site permit. Is that the city's position? Have to remove all the fill dirt until, I mean, if
I
it's
mean,
gonna
either
take
we gotta get a
weeks.
permit issued or the fill dirt needs to be removed.
Right.
I mean, that's,
Right.
But, which is what I'm working on. It's taking longer than expected. I didn't know it was gonna take 8 weeks at Trustwood, and I didn't know I can start turning in the permit until I have the trust, whatever they do. CD diagram.
I got you. I was not aware, I found no evidence of that development permit that you submitted for, so,
I actually can show where I deposited a check.
okay.
Yeah, and I can actually go with my contractor, the same one that's actually handling Slash Pine, where he submitted all that.
When
That was
was
like
that?
6 months ago I did.
Okay. Well, I think I can give you a little more time.
I mean, if you only do these once a month, if you give me to June, that should be pretty close to the 8 weeks, hopefully. We would be in that ballpark.
June 12th would be our next meeting. So in most cases, when you're given time to comply, then you're brought back typically the next month, depending on the amount of time to comply. And we determine whether you've come into compliance.
I can't promise I'd be completely in compliance by then, because it's gonna take a while for them to approve the actual permit once I get it submitted, but I hope to have it at least submitted by then.
I will go ahead and give you until June 9th. And then that would bring us to June 12th for the next meeting to determine if you're in compliance.
Yeah.
So that's, a fairly substantial amount of time. Otherwise,
Not if it takes a month to get.
well,
the permit
otherwise you've got to
approved and
remove the dirt.
8 weeks for the thing.
Otherwise, you have to remove the fill dirt. Okay. Anything else from you or the city?
That's it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and find on this initial hearing that respondent was given notice and respondent did appear, that based on the evidence and the testimony presented, that there is a violation of section 30-83 and section 34-10. The respondent shall have until June 9 to bring the property into compliance with both violations, and failure to bring into compliance by June 9th will result in a fine in the amount of $100 per day that will be imposed per violation beginning June 10th. If compliance is not achieved, the issue will come back to me on or about June 12th for the next meeting after the May meeting to determine if compliance is achieved or the most practical date thereafter. Costs are imposed as requested by the city in the amount of $163.75. As soon as you are close to compliance, please notify Officer Wright so that she can confirm. Thank you. Next.
Yes, ma'am. The next case, 2320, Danielle Cole, 900 Cynthia Drive, and a representative is here for that case as well.
Dun, dun.
2320.
So I have 3 items for exhibit. First is going to be the affidavit for the notice of violation. The second is going to be the affidavit for the notice of hearing. This is the initial hearing. And then the cost recovery statement in the amount of $234.19.
Okay, thank you. We'll admit into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation, as well as the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing and the affidavit of service. Exhibit 3 is the city's cost recovery statement requesting costs in the amount of $234.19.
So again, this is the initial hearing for case number 23-20. Our respondent is Danielle Cole. Our violation address is 900 Cynthia Drive in Titusville, Florida. That is the same as the mailing address. So our notice, our violation is section 6-56, construction permit required for the accessory structure storage. So the initial inspection was completed on July 13th. I apologize, I should say 2022. All these dates. So our notice respondent was sent on June 20th, 2022. Certified mail was returned unclaimed on November 17th, 2022. So I missed those, I apologize.
Notice went out when?
Sorry, September 20th, 2022.
Because your notice violation says August 24th.
Well, I might need to pull this then, because I can't confirm right now. I apologize.
Well, just because it may be wrong on the screen doesn't mean you're wrong.
I do apologize.
Well, do you want to look at your notice and
Yes, please.
if you want, we can table this until, want to take another one with a different officer, and Officer Wright can take a look at her
Yes, ma'am, we can.
documents. That's okay. We want to go back to the,
2302. It's a Massey hearing. Its case numbers 23-02, 2300 Holdings LLC at 2300 Columbia Boulevard, and I believe the owner is present.
Officer Lewis.
And ma'am, before he testifies, he'd have to be sworn in. The owner.
Okay.
missed it.
All right, I'll go ahead and swear you in now if you're going to testify. Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Officer Lewis.
Yes, ma'am. First off, I'd like to present into evidence the notice of hearing.
Thank you. Admit into evidence the notice of hearing for today's hearing and the affidavit of service.
Ready? Okay. Respondent is 2300 Holdings LLC. Violation address, again, 2300 Columbia Boulevard, Titusville. The violation was 28-364, outdoor storage as an accessory use. The case was originally heard January the 9th, 2023. The business owner and the tenant, Kenneth Jacobs, who is present at this time, was here also and testified, and they were ordered to correct the violation of, by removing 50% of the storage on or before February the 13th of 2023. The remainder was to be removed by April 7th, 2023. And if compliance was not achieved, a fine in the amount of $100 per day commencing April the 13th, continuing until the violation is corrected, is to be imposed. And administrative cost was assessed an amount of $128.55. A reinspection of property was completed on February 13th, 2023. That condition was not met. A follow-up inspection again was done on March 28th to give the notice of hearing on the property. At that time, it was still in violation. As of this morning, the property was still in violation.
Okay. So the initial step, the 50% removal of the stored materials by February 13th.
Yes, ma'am, was not met.
Okay. And you have pictures?
Do not have one on February the 13th. This picture here was taken on March 28th, date I posted the hearing. Looks basically the same today. That is one of the actual pictures. If you'll look here, this is taken in December of 2022. And you revert back to March.
So not a lot has
No,
been
ma'am.
removed. Okay.
This was actually taken April the 4th. And it's hard to get a good picture of the property, but they still, most everything is still there.
Okay.
It's still in violation as of this morning.
Okay. All right, sir, would you like to come up? And if you could just state your name and your address.
Kenneth Jacobs, address to the violation 2300 Columbia Boulevard, Titusville, 32780.
Okay, what happened?
So, the property we purchased in Oak Hill, unfortunately, the tenant will not be out till June 15th. Kind of the same situation that we're in. He has a big company and needed 6 months to move. We were hoping that he would be out sooner. Unfortunately, he's going to take his full time to get moved out. We've moved probably about 30% of the materials over to that location. I can get pictures and give it to the code enforcement officer to show that we have been bringing materials over there. Unfortunately, he has a lot of heavy equipment and stuff, so I can only take so much out there. And we just got our permit to put the fence up on the property through Oak Hill, so we're working on that. We got the front fence up. We're now working on getting the perimeter fence up. As our materials are very expensive, and with aluminum and everything, it's easy to steal and have it, sold or recycled, whatever you want to call it. So we're kind of at a position where we're kind of stuck right now. I don't have anywhere else to put this material. We're working on it. The tenant off the 690 US 1 Oak Hill will be out June 15th. And once he's out, then we can move the rest of the stuff and start moving the office and everything else.
Okay. Did you see the photos that Officer Lewis had up on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Any dispute as to how much
No,
materials
I
are
mean,
still
we
left?
run a business. We run 23 crews out there every day. I mean, I have to have materials on site to be able to, keep the business running.
Yeah.
I can't, put them somewhere else and transport them back and forth. The cost would just be astronomical.
I get it, and I hate, finding a prosperous business in violation.
Right.
It's,
Well, I mean, we're making.
I mean, it's good that you're prosperous, but you're still in violation of the codes. That's the
I mean,
unfortunate thing.
You know, we've been there 5 years and we've had materials out there for 5 years and somebody wants to call in and complain and now we're in violation. I mean, the reality of it is we've been there for 5 years, you know, up until last year, we didn't have an issue. You know, we've had materials out there for 5 years. We're working on getting it moved. But unfortunately, you know, time's not on our side. I can only do what I can do with what's given to me.
Right.
I can't take $3 million worth of materials and just dump them somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just, you know.
Okay. The only favor I think I can do for you at this point is give you the last date to be found in noncompliance instead of the initial date. So I will, based on the testimony and evidence presented, the respondent did not come into compliance by the date set forth in the previous order, and a fine in the amount of $100 per day will begin to run on April 8th and shall continue daily until compliance is achieved, and you need to contact Officer Lewis as soon as possible when you can take care of the removal of the building materials. The fine will continue to run until he confirms that it is in compliance, and then there's, you know, steps you can take to ask for a reduction of the fine if you need to. But just got to get it done as
Another reason
quickly
why
as
we're
possible.
moving out of Titusville. Have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. If we could go back to 2320,
Okay.
900 Cynthia Drive.
Yes. So when I go back to my case notes from September 20th, when I reviewed the documents, I could not find proof that I had actually mailed that August 24th letter. It had printed out and saved in the system, but I didn't have any documentation, proof of mailing. So I reissued everything on the 20th. So that's why we have two notices. They are the same, but they are dated differently. Since I did not have what I felt was proper service on the 24th, I reissued it on September 20th, 2022.
Okay, so so for the record, you'll need to make sure that you get the September 20th dated one.
It was in there. It was, I didn't realize the 24th was also in your packet.
Ah.
I apologize.
Okay,
So both of them were in that, so I've taken out the 24th since we
Okay.
don't have proper service. It all matches now your affidavit.
all right, and now you have proper service. Thank you. All right, so the record will show that the exhibits are all accurate at this point. All right, I think that's as far as we got.
I think so. I apologize.
That's okay.
All right. So, compliance date was October 20th, 2023. Notices of hearing were posted on-site and at City Hall on March 30th, 2023. Certified and first-class mail was sent on March 7th, 2023. We have not received the certified mail back at this time. So, the initial violation, I was completing inspections in the area and observed overgrowth and a storage container placed along the east side of the house. The container itself was found to be over 120 square feet in size. Reviewing the building department, there was no records of a permit being issued for the placement of the storage container or a building permit to address the container. So I did speak with Josh Cole on August 24th, 2023, while doing a follow-up inspection. He discussed turning the storage container into a storage building in the backyard. We discussed the requirements for a permit, and at that time, he said he was going to contact them. So the results of the reinspection, the container remains on the property in the original location, still on the east side of the house in the front side yard. And there's no record of any building permit being issued for the container. So this is a picture of the container taking March 30th, 2023. Again, the container is over 120 square feet. In its current location, it is in the front setback. So if they were keeping it, it would have been required to be in the backyard. It's not allowed to stay in the front yard. So another picture of the storage container. So conclusions of fact, 6-56, building permit required. There is no permit issued for this container to be on the property. So we are recommending the respondent be ordered to correct the violation on or before May 5th, 2023. In order to correct the violation, the owner must obtain permits for the storage container or remove the container from the property. We are requesting administrative costs in the amount of $234.19. And if the respondent does not comply by May 5th, that a fine of $50 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues. And that as soon as the property is into compliance, to contact me.
Thank you, Officer Wright. A representative of the property,
Yes.
if you'd like to come forward. And if you could please let me know your name and your address.
Yes, my name is Danielle Cole, and it's 900 Cynthia Drive, Titusville, 32780.
You are the owner of the property?
Yes.
Okay, what can you tell me about this storage container?
So the plan was to put it in the backyard as a shed. My husband did call to get a permit. They said they could only issue a 5-day permit, and we could not have it in our backyard. So hence why it has not been moved, because we need a special truck to come in to move it. We just can't move it ourselves. So with that being said, it went nowhere because we could not get a permit, but we do have a letter that if we can't get a permit, it is getting moved on Friday. They would not come out before Easter. We tried to get it done before all of this.
Okay, well, the good thing is, the city is recommending up until May 5th to get it all done. And that way, if you are going to get it removed by Friday, then there won't be any fine.
Right.
But because the city has asked for costs, is there like financial issues going on that made it difficult for you to get this in compliance?
Well, yeah, so like I said, my husband tried to get the permit. They said, absolutely not, we can't give you a permit. We don't know why, because people have sheds in their backyard.
Yeah.
But we actually called to try to get it moved. It was full. We had to empty it before my husband closed his business. It's all auto mechanic stuff in there. It's very heavy. So we had to get it all emptied and moved before we can have them come out to remove it on the truck, because it was too heavy for the truck to lift it. We've been trying. They had no openings, and being that yesterday was Easter, they were not doing anything all last week. So we were able to get them to do it for Friday, which is this letter here.
Okay, I'll take a look at the letter. If Officer Wright, you want to take a look at her letter?
She showed me it
Okay.
when she first got in.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. So just for the record, I've got something from All Portable Easy Storage. Moving from 900 Cynthia Drive to 4425 Lancaster Lane in Titusville, and it has the date as 4/14/2023. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you want to put that in the record, or I can just, note it for the record that I reviewed the letter, so that way you can keep your,
Yeah, this is the only copy I have.
okay, you can keep it
Because
and,
it's prepaid and everything, so I don't know if we have to show them.
right. Okay. Anything else, Officer Wright? All right. I find that respondent was provided notice and was present and gave testimony that that based on the evidence and testimony, there is a violation of section 6-56 permit required for the container, which appears to be undisputed. And based on the recommendation of the city, the compliance date shall be May 5th. And if compliance is not achieved by either removing it or getting a permit for the storage container, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will begin to run on May 6th and shall continue every day until the compliance is achieved. You need to let Officer Wright know as soon as you get that removed, call her and she will come by to confirm compliance. At this point, I will hold off on imposing any costs in the hope that you do in fact get that removed by Friday. If we come back again next month and it's still not removed, then the fine will be imposed and then the costs will be imposed as well.
Can I just ask a question? Is that something we could put in our backyard if we get the permit? Or is that something we can't put in our backyard?
That's something you gotta work with the building department.
The building, okay, that's fine. All right.
All right, any questions?
No, that was it.
Okay, all right, so please get that taken care of, either permitted or removed, and hope I don't see you next month.
No, you won't see me. One way or another, you won't see me. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we're back on the regular agenda.
Yes, ma'am, back to Massey hearings. It'll be 23-13, 795 Hillcrest, and Inspector Flanagan is here to provide testimony.
Officer Flanagan.
Good afternoon. I just have one exhibit for this case, and that's the notice of hearing for today.
I will admit into evidence Exhibit 1, the notice of hearing, and the affidavit of service for today's hearing.
This is for 2313. The respondent is Hillcrest 795 Land Trust, violation address 795 Hillcrest Avenue, Titusville, mailed to 125 East Merritt Island Causeway, number 107. Violation charge was for a permit required. If case was originally heard on March 13th, the respondent was given till April 7th to get it corrected, a $50 fine if it wasn't in compliance by April 8th. Property was posted at City Hall and on the property. And if you remember, this is the decking that was installed in the back without the permit. There has been no activity, no contact or anything from them to let me know that they're going to correct the problem. It's still in violation as of today. I checked and no permit has been applied or submitted.
Okay. I don't think, were they here last
No.
time? Yeah, all right. Okay, based on the testimony and evidence, I will find that the property did not come into compliance with the previous order requiring compliance by April 7th, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will commence on April 8th and shall continue until the violation is corrected. It's respondent's responsibility to notify Officer Flanagan when compliance is achieved, and costs in the amount of $234.19 are imposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, that takes us to 2315, 5155 South Washington Avenue, and it'll be Inspector Wright.
Officer Wright.
So one item for exhibit. This is the affidavit for the notice of Massey hearing.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 will be entered into evidence, which is the notice for today's hearing and affidavit that it was mailed. Answer.
I need 2315. Okay, you said 151 or 5155? Does that work? Okay, I apologize. Looking at two different folders. So this is Special Magistrate Case Hearing 2315. This is the Massey hearing. Respondent is C Cube Strip LLC. Violation address is 5155 South Washington Avenue in Titusville, Florida. The mailing address was 1313 South Washington Ave, Unit A, and 3306 South Hopkins Ave, both in Titusville, Florida. So the original violation was section 30-214. This was stormwater management and enforcement. So the case was originally heard at the March 13th, 2023 meeting. There was no representatives for the LLC in attendance. The respondent was ordered to correct the violation on or before April 7th, 2023. And if they failed to come into compliance, a fine of $50 per day commencing April 8th to be imposed. They were also assessed administrative costs in the amount of $198.97. The property in City Hall was posted for Massey hearing on March 30th, 2023. Certified and first class letters were sent March 20th, 2023. First class mail sent to both addresses were returned unable to forward vacant. So completed inspections of the property on April 7th and again this morning and found no changes. The roof drains and gutters and downspouts remain discharging onto the ground instead of the pipes as required by the site plan. So these are photos taken April 7th. Again, the site development permit required all roof drains and gutters be directed into piping that took the water to the retention area on the property. This picture shows that the roof drain on the north end of the building, again, just empties directly onto the ground. And this is the east side of the building. We've got downspouts from the gutters, again, discharging directly onto the ground. And a little bit closer view showing the pipes are there. They're just laying disconnected on top of the grade. So conclusions of fact is that we remain in violation. It has not been repaired to function as designed.
Okay. Based on the evidence and testimony, I find that the property is not in compliance with the previous order, that a fine in the amount of $50 per day shall commence effective April 8th, 2023, and will continue to run until full compliance is achieved by connecting the roof drains, etc., to the piping in order to drain into the retention area. Costs imposed in the amount of $198.97. Respondent is required to contact Officer Wright as soon as compliance is achieved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case.
Yes, ma'am. 2317, 1555 Cheney Highway. Also Officer Wright.
So first, I've got one item to submit. This is the affidavit for the notice of Massey hearing.
Thank you. Admitted into evidence is Exhibit 1, the notice of today's hearing, and the affidavit of service.
So again, this is the Massey hearing for case number 23-17. The respondent is DG 711 Holdings LLC. This is the Dollar General Store number 13655. Violation address is 1555 Cheney Highway, located here in Titusville, Florida. Our mailing address is 110 East 40th Street, Suite 802 in New York, New York, 10016. And then also the registered agent was notified at 1201 Hay Street in Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. So the violation is section 30-305, continued maintenance required for landscaping. So the original case was heard on March 13th, 2023. There was no representatives for the LLC in attendance. They were ordered to correct the violation on or before April 7th, 2023. If compliance was not achieved, the magistrate was to impose fines in the amount of $50 per day, commencing April 8th, 2023. And the respondent was assessed administrative costs in the amount of $181.36. So the notice of Massey hearing was hand-delivered to an employee on duty at the Dollar General Store 13655 and posted at City Hall on March 30th. Certified and first-class letters were sent March 20th to both the owner and the registered agent. And signed return receipt for both were received back on March 27, 2023. So I did receive a phone call on March 22nd from Rick Villegas. He's with Scopes Facility Services. He was in possession of a copy of the order and stated that he was hired to to fix the irrigation on the property and install the vegetation. He did confirm he had a copy of the approved landscape plan, and that they would be moving forward with that work. Results of the reinspection, the inspection completed on April 7th, no work has started.
Did the individual give you an estimate of when he was going to be?
Nope.
Was he actually retained, or do you have any proof that he was actually retained?
I don't. Now, I will say that Rick was the first contractor to speak with me last year, meeting on site with me to look over the plans, provided him a copy of the approved landscape plan. Other than that, I don't have anything. The general manager, when I hand delivered the notice of violation, was not in the store, so it was just regular employees, so she did not have access to their work order software.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay.
So again, this was a portion of the approved site plan, showing the parking lot, trees, bushes should be lining the perimeter of the parking lot, and as laid out. So this is a picture from April 7th, 2023. Again, we are missing multiple plants along everywhere on the property. We've got dead and dying plants that are there. This is a view of the west end of the parking lot. So we are still remain in violation of section 30-305 for continued maintenance required for the landscaping.
All right, well, I definitely feel comfortable that they've gotten notice. But they just have not come into compliance. So based on the testimony and evidence, I find that the property continues to be in non-compliance of section 30-305A, continuing landscape maintenance, and a fine in the amount of $50 per day will commence effective April 8th, 2023, and shall continue daily until compliance is achieved. And respondent needs to contact Officer Wright to confirm compliance. Costs imposed in the amount of $181.36. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This will take us to our last initial case for the day. Case number 2321, 4456 Ellis Circle, and again, Officer Wright.
So I have 4 items to submit for evidence. The first is affidavit for notice of violation. The second is a secondary notice of violation affidavit. Third is the affidavit for the notice of hearing for today's hearing. And the third is the cost recovery statement in the amount of $146.14.
I will admit into evidence the notice of violation and affidavit of service as Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 is a second notice of violation and affidavit of service. Were there violations added or removed?
Yes, Inspector Ken Hutchings did an inspection while I was out on personal leave in November. And he added his case into the one I had already started.
Okay, and then as Exhibit 3, the notice of hearing and affidavit of service for today's hearing, and Exhibit 4 will be the city's cost recovery statement requesting costs in the amount of $146.14.
So this is the initial hearing for case number 2321. The respondents are Epithea Ventures LLC and Covam LLC. Violation address is 4456 Ellis Circle in Titusville, Florida. We have multiple addresses for that the notices were mailed to. P.O. Box 140970 in Coral Gables, Florida is the address assigned to both LLCs. Then we have registered agent address 999 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, Suite 1110, Coral Gables, Florida. And then we have the registered agent for COVAM at 200 Sunrise Drive, Apartment A in Key Biscayne, Florida. So we have 5 active violations at this property. The first is Section 6-109, the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, subsection 304.6, that's exterior walls. The second one is subsection 304.10, stairways, decks, porches. The third one is going to be subsection 304.13, that's windows, skylights, doors. Number 4 is subsection 605.1, and that is the electrical equipment installation. And finally, section 13-28, the violation is dead trees. So the initial inspection was completed August 11th of 2022. Certified and first-class mail was sent to the listed owner and registered agents on August 15th of 2022. We have the return receipt for the registered agent signed for on August 24th of 2022. We have the return receipt for the listed owner signed for on August 30th of 2022. And then the registered mail, or the certified mail sent to the registered agent for COVAM was returned unclaimed on September 6th, 2022. So the second notice that Inspector Ken Hutchings sent out, that was mailed on 11/29 of 2023. And again, it was sent certified and first-class mail to the listed owner and the registered agents. The certified mail has yet to be returned or signed for. So they were originally, in the original notice of violation, they were given till September 12th, 2022 to correct the violations. And then we have notices of hearing posted at City Hall and on the property on March 30th, 2023. March 7th of 2023, certified and first-class mail was sent to all 3 addresses. We have the return receipt for the registered agent, signed for on March 20th. The second signed return receipt was for the listed owners on March 16th of 2023. And the certified mail sent to the registered agent for COVAM LLC was returned unable to forward, so I apologize. So the original complaint came in concerning a large pile of trash and debris from a tenant move out, and it was scattered throughout the front yard along Ellis Circle. So while I was at the property, I also noticed multiple other violations. Those include the house being unsecure, as multiple windows were broken or standing open. There was exposed wiring observed next to the front door. We had damage to the exterior walls, holes and cracks, and there was no numbers on the mailbox nor on the front of the house. So pictures were taken for file and the notice of violation was sent. So a follow-up inspection of the property was completed by Ken Hutchings on November 29th, at which time a dead pine tree was identified along the south side of the property. He posted a new notice of violation and the new notices were mailed at the same time. So I've had no contact with representatives for either of the LLCs. On October 4th of 2022, while driving in the area, I observed construction debris in the front yard and stopped and spoke with workers on site. They had stated that they were hired just to do the demo in the kitchen and the bathrooms inside the house. I provided my contact information and discussed several of the open violations and what the owners needed to do. So reinspection, the windows on the house have been boarded up, so the house is secure at this time, and the house numbers have been installed on the front. Trash and debris has been removed. All the other work needed to the house and the removal of the dead trees has not started. So these are pictures taken March 30th, 2023, when I posted the property for the hearing. This is the front of the house facing Ellis Circle. We've got damaged walls, and you can see not very well, but windows are boarded up along the front. This is a clearer shot. We've got the jealousy windows or multiple missing glazing, or they're just damaged. There's no glazing at all. They're boarded up. We've got exposed electrical wiring on the upper right-hand corner of the front door. This is another picture of the boarded windows and damage to the exterior walls. So this is the staircase leading to the kitchen or the interior under the carport. When you stand on it, the materials give, and there's numerous different materials used as tread or footings for the staircase itself. And we've got holes leading into the storage area of the exterior walls. So we have two trees that have been identified by Mr. Hutchings. The first was in the front yard on the far left-hand picture. It's a tree that was struck by lightning. One of the forks, the tree is dead. The other half still appears to be living, but it is a damaged tree. And then in the backyard is the center and right-hand photos. That tree, all of the branches have been cut off it, but the dead tree itself still remains in the backyard, leaning to the south. So our conclusions of fact in this case, for section 304.6, the exterior walls, we have cracks, holes along the foundation of the structure and in the exterior walls. For 304.10, the stairs were found with damaged, loose, or deteriorated materials on them. For subsection 304.13, we have multiple windows on the structure that are damaged, have cracked or missing glazing, and are inoperable. For subsection 605.1, we have electrical equipment. We've got exposed electrical wiring on the exterior of the house. And then for section 13-28, this is violations dead tree. We have dead or damaged trees on the property.
Let me just ask you about that on the trees.
Sure.
Is under the code, the one that was struck by lightning where half of it appears to be dead, the other half alive. Under the code, does the whole thing have to come down, or can they trim off the dead parts? Or
in the past, we've taken a letter from an arborist certifying the health of the tree and their recommendations for the tree.
so to come into compliance, the respondent would just need to do whatever, whether get something from the arborist or just remove it to come into compliance.
Yes, ma'am. A certified arborist can submit a report, or they can remove them.
Okay.
So recommendations, we are requesting that for section 13-28 dead trees, that action be taken on or before April 21st of 2023. We're requesting that the trees either be removed from the property or a report submitted. The respondent does not comply by April 21st. We are requesting $250 a day for each day that the trees remain on the property. And secondarily, we are requesting that the respondents be ordered to correct the remaining violations on or before May 5th of 2023. To correct the violations, we are requesting that repairs be completed to the exterior walls and stairs, removing all rotten, damaged materials, repairing holes and cracks. We are requesting the repair or replacement of the damaged windows and glazing, obtaining permits as required. We are requesting proper termination of the exposed wiring on the exterior of the structure. And obtain required permits to complete installation of new wiring inside the structure. That I didn't provide you any photographs for. Yep. So we're just looking for a proper termination of exposed wiring on the exterior. So if the respondents do not comply by May 5th on those 4 violations, we are requesting that a fine of $100 per violation per day be imposed for each day the 4 violations continue. We're requesting administrative costs in the amount of $146.14 be assessed. And the respondent must contact me for inspection once all the items have been corrected.
And the rationale of splitting up the compliance dates?
The dead trees, we continue to get complaints from the neighbors with their concerns about the dead trees, which is why I moved up the compliance date on that one.
Do either one of them look like they're on the verge of falling over?
We do have on the tree in the backyard, it does lean to the south towards the neighboring property owner. I have not seen it in a windy condition. The reports by the neighbors say it does move in the wind. They saw it moving during the storms last fall.
All right. Anything else from the city?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Based on the evidence and testimony, I will find that there is evidence of violation of the 5 listed codes. 2018 IPMC section 304.6 for exterior walls. 2018 IPMC section 304.10 for the stairway, IPMC 304.13 for the windows, section 605.1 for the electrical, and section 13-28 for dead tree. I'm inclined to just have one compliance date on it. Especially if they do intend to comply on the dead tree by getting something from an arborist. I want to give them a little bit of time. I just don't have enough evidence that this seems to be an immediate issue. So compliance date, come into compliance by May 5th, 2023, or a fine in the amount of $100 per day per violation will be imposed for each of the 5 violations. costs in the amount of $146.14 are imposed. And respondent is required to contact Officer Wright to advise whether the property has been brought into compliance so that she may come and inspect to confirm. Anything else on that one? Okay.
That is the end of the agenda, ma'am.
All right, so the last one, 23-22,
In
that's
compliance.
pulled from the agenda because it complied.
Compliance. Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All right, that's it? All right. We're gonna have a good day and I'll see you next month.